What's up, guys? So pretty much I'm going to be trying, or not really trying, but I'm going to be giving y'all some tips and tricks on how to find whitetail and get your great one grind started in a better position. So pretty much whenever you're originally starting, you don't really have to be shooting whitetail. You're pretty much going to be trying to find your zones. The easiest places to start off is the ball mud area, because you're almost guaranteed zones there, and then you got the river, both sides. I have a lot of zones in this area. I have like 4 total, I believe. And then once you get all that stuff done, you'll have like optional, or not really optional zones, but you'll have zones that'll sometimes be there and sometimes they won't. Like for example, some people have zones here. I don't have a zone there. Some people will have zones right here. I don't have a zone there either. I also don't have zones here. I have a zone here. Don't really mess with it too much, just because with the whole render bug going on right now, I can't claim the animal because I have to shoot like right here. And if anyone's been out to this lake, you can see like there is no area to get to it, so you'd have to go all the way around, which is out of render. And then your tents. Your tents are going to be everything. Make sure, cause you only get 16, so you need to make sure you have tents in good spots. For example, the spot right down here in Beaumont, I have my tent here. And what this tent allows me to do is that I have 4 zones here. I may even be able to show you on the map. I got one here, 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 and here. And pretty much, I have this one tent to get all 4 zones. This one, I could honestly, if I ever find a new zone that I have to remove a tent at, I'm going to remove this tent right here. Because this tent, I shoot at the whitetail right here. And then I normally just fast travel to this one and then make my way over here. But what I can start doing is that if I find another zone, I get to remove this tent, take it somewhere else, and then just come through here, shoot the animals here, and then go around, finish those off over there. Another spot that whitetail could be is in this little area right here. I personally don't have a zone. I do have 2 zones along this coast right here. And then actually another one to where you could have zones, but you may not have zones. I've seen a zone here once. I haven't seen it since then. And then there's also the hidden lake right above it, which I had a zone there. Then they went all doe. That's another thing when you're doing the grind. It's not just gonna be like you set up one time and then you're done. You're gonna have to move tents multiple times, over and over again, because a lot of times you'll shoot the whitetail, and when they respawn, you'll either keep a zone or it'll change. For example, I had a lot of whitetail here. All does. I have whitetail right here. This was all does for a while, but then it eventually came back to males. This is another zone like right to the right of it that I mainly use, to where I've got like 2 threes to spawn here, 1 trolled, 1 made. Yeah, the great one grind isn't really super difficult. Oh my. Okay. Let me re-fast travel, I don't know what's going on here. Oh my good. Okay, now I'm good. Pretty much. I got 1 buck here. I'm not really gonna worry about him right now. He's not anything that I need to be shooting. Like, for my great one grind, like, the zones on the coast that I showed earlier, in this area down here, I started to ignore, just because I had no max waste in it, so I didn't have to worry about that. And so they're pretty much they just kind of just set down there. I do need to check them again to see if they got any deer that were added onto the zone. But whenever you're finding zones, you're gonna originally find a lot of zones that have like 10 to 20 whitetail in it, and those zones aren't gonna stay like that. They are gonna change. The moment you start shooting whitetail, they're going to break apart basically and go into smaller zones. Another thing is that if you have a zone that has, let's say, 3 bucks, 1 doe, or 2 bucks, 1 doe. If it's 2 bucks, 1 doe, you only want to shoot 1 buck at a time, because the moment you shoot both of those bucks, it becomes doe only, and you will no longer get respawns at that zone. If it's 3 bucks, 1 doe, you want to only shoot 2 bucks. So I found out that the best thing to do isn't even, because although you can shoot 3 before the zone's wiped, I recommend you shooting 2, and then moving on to the next zone. I average about 100 whitetail a day. My recent harvests are most likely going to be blacktail. No, decent bit of whitetail. Pretty much what I do, I fill up my zone. Like I'll hunt my map, do multiple runs, but the moment I go to get off, I go and I kill a bunch of blacktail to clear out all my whitetail zones, and it makes it to where it's once I close out the application, all those animals are respawning, and instead of it respawning in like 4 zones that I don't have hunting pressure in, it'll then spawn in all zones. And I've noticed that whenever I do the blacktail strat, whenever I get back on, I tend to have better respawns. Because normally, if I'm doing run after run after run, I tend to just get like the same animals over and over again. Nothing really special, but the moment I kill blacktail and come back, I tend to have something decent. Whether that be really anything. Okay, this whitetail right here is most likely going to make gold. He's a decent enough gun on him. So let's see if I have anything over here. This right here is the zone that I killed my great one at. Which, what we got here today? So we got 2 bucks. So I'm going to leave the zones over there. I'm going to go kill these whitetail, and I'm going to circle back and kill those over to my left. You can use really whatever weapon. Most people are going to recommend the M1 Garand or the 30L6, but I personally use the 303. It packs around the same punch. I don't really like worrying about carrying around the M1, mostly because I'm only shooting 2 bucks. It's not like I'm trying to wipe out herds. Even if you have zones in the open, keep a collar. If you're trying, because they're not going to drink in the same exact spot. Although you'll have that zone, they can drink, like for example, that zone right here, that they're drinking right here. If you watch my Great One video, you'll see that the whitetail at the time were drinking to my left right here. So they're going to like drink in this area. Sometimes I'll walk out here and they're in the woods, and if they're in the woods, I don't even bother with them. I kind of just move on to the next zone. Or I may, if I'm trying to clear pressure, I may use the collar, get them to come out, and I shoot them then. It's not gonna be, if you want a great one, you can't rush it. If you try to rush it, you're not gonna really get anywhere. It's most likely gonna end up with you just ending without getting a great one. For the longest time, I would shoot about maybe 30 to 40 whitetail a day, and I didn't get much from it. I didn't get any good respawns or anything. But the moment I started trying to shoot more whitetail, I tried to get 100 a day. And if you check my harvest, I have 6,104, and whenever I started my grind, I was at 5,300 something. Before, like, all the 5,300 something whenever I started doing 100 a day, and then it only took me about 2.5. I think it was pretty much 3 weeks for me to get my great one to spawn. It's random. You can get it after 100 kills. You can get it after 3,000 kills. It's really random based, and with them fixing overweight whitetails in the next update, populations will most likely be reset. So I don't know if I'm gonna have to redo my grind because I am trying to get my second great one right now. So I don't know. I may end up having to reset my tents and whatnot, and move them around the map and find zones again. But if you have a bunch of zones and then they start disappearing or going doe only, take a day to just look through your map, try and find those new zones, because they're still around. They're just in a new zone. You'll have a lot of people complaining, saying, oh, well, I can't find whitetail are too complicated. Not really. All they really did with whitetail is they made it to where they're in a bigger variety of spots. So pretty much whenever I go looking for whitetail zones, I cut the map in four little areas, 4 quadrants, if you want to say. And that's pretty much how I'll check. Like if I have a zone that goes missing up here, I will start off by checking these lakes. Because originally I didn't have a zone right here. I didn't get this zone until about a week into my grind. They showed up there, and ever since then I've killed a lot of things at that zone. I've killed my max weight 270 whitetail, and then down at the zone that I was at earlier where my game jittered real bad, down here, I killed a 271.8, I believe. Pretty big whitetail, 270 plus, tends to be the best for diamonds. I've noticed I tend to get bigger, I tend to get more diamonds than I do rares. But it's pretty easy to grind them. Mostly because they don't pay much attention. Let me try to get that back here. Some other thing I was gonna say. Oh, pretty much the only places where you won't find whitetail at is I don't have them here. Most people don't have any zones here. There's really no reason to check these spots unless you really can't find whitetail. I know they can be up in this area still. I do need to actually come up here and check again because I originally don't have a zone here, but I've had some zones go missing. Like I had 2 zones here, which I do need to wipe. It's 2 single doe zones, but I have enough zones to where I don't really worry about them. I let them stay there just so my bucks pretty much keep respawning in the same areas. But the day before I killed my great one, I went and killed, I believe it was like 9 max weight estimates. Now I only have like 4 max weight estimates running around my map that are respawning. I don't know where the other 5 are. I do need to eventually figure out where they went. But the problem with the great one, as of right now, is that if you don't shoot it, like pretty much whenever you log into your Layton, you'll pretty much during that session, you have to find it if it spawned in. So you need to have all your zones found, because if he ends up spawning in a zone that you don't have, and let's say you you log off, what's going to end up happening is that great one is most likely going to become an overweight one, which that is being fixed next update, but if you're trying to do it before next update, you're going to have to be prepared for that. Another thing is tripods. You can do tripods. Tripods do make it easier. You can cycle through your whitetail a lot faster because you don't get that much running pressure. I only have tripods in certain areas. That one's gonna throw like 280, so I'm just gonna take 270s. 270s. You don't really have to worry about ammo too much because as long as you're making good shots, you're gonna be getting cash as you go. Like I started my grind at 100k, and I bought 1,003 ammo. I'm running low. I'm up 200, and it's gonna take around 100k for 1,000 rounds. So I do recommend just buying 1,000 the moment you can, unless you need to buy tripods and whatnot. Which I probably am gonna eventually end up buying more tripods to set up on my map. But I kind of just leave them alone how they are. Another thing is to do it with a buddy. Have a buddy that you can do the grind with, so you pretty much you can exchange kills and it keeps both of you motivated. I had a real good friend of mine that already had a great one that gave me a lot of advice and whatnot to keep me going, and it gave me the motivation I needed to get it. Told me a lot of decent spots. Pretty much, you can't just go find all your zones in one sitting. You're pretty much gonna have to pinpoint it, and you can do it multiple different ways. I do it in the 4 areas, or you can. Oh, my whitetail right there. Or you can do it in a different way. I don't think I've ever seen that. Does it not have a time, or is it just a real small time? It's a weird wreck. I don't recommend shooting them as they're running, because if you mess up the shot, there's a chance that it won't die and it will go out of render, and that's what messed up a lot of my zones. I still have bucks spawning at them, but like I feel like I definitely lost. Like instead of having like 3 bucks in the zone, I would have like 2 from now. For a little bit anyways. They eventually come back, but I don't recommend playing your chances with the render glitch. So, like, some people are, I recommend that you do it with, the 303 M1, a powerful, or the Eggers, the 30-06, because all of those pack a real good punch to where the animal will drop and they won't run very far. Because you want to be able to get quick follow-up shots, and if you have a deer body blocking another deer, you need to be able to drop the one in front just so you can get the one in the back really quickly. Because if you have a weaker rifle, if you double lung, they'll stagger, and they won't get out of the way fast enough for you to get that second shot in. But hopefully that's enough information for y'all, and yeah. See y'all in the next one.